Welcome back to the Cosmic Mistress podcast. I'm your host, Amanda Frederick, and today we have Yehuda HaLevi here, who is the host of the podcast Shells and Shadows. He is also running the Denver studio for Let's Do Podcast. And I've gotten to know Yehuda a little bit, as well as some other members of his family, just within the past couple of weeks. And they're all very wonderful. And you're very wonderful. I'm excited to have you here.
Thanks, Amanda. Thanks for having me on the show.
Of course.
And this will be part one of a two-part series that we're doing. I'm going to have Amanda on my show right after this, so look out for that too. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. So I would love for you to share, as I'm also getting to know you and my listeners as well. You're 23, running a podcast studio, running your own podcast. My experience of you is you are one of definitely the wisest 23-year-old I've ever met in my life. Also just incredibly grounded and open-hearted and present. And there's not many older adults that I experience in that energy all of the time. And so being 23 and this just wise soul, I'm very impressed and I'm very curious. What has been your experience? Share a little bit about your story, growing up in the family that you have, coming into this place, podcasting, running a studio. How'd you get here? Who are you? How'd you get here?
Sure. So you have met my parents, you've done podcasts with them. And I will say they've been a huge influence on me. They're both healers by their nature and in their own ways. And they've brought me up in that way as well, to be in touch with my heart, to lead in the world from a place of showing up to be good, not to be successful or right, but to be good. And that's kind of the message that they've instilled in me since I was a kid. Not all of that, I'd say, can be attributed to who I am is part because of my parents and my upbringing, but also I just feel like my own soul calling and my journey.
Your dad specifically mentioned this when I podcasted with him as well.
What did he say?
Was not taking the credit for who you are.
Yeah.
And I was just I'm so very impressed by your son. And I'm not getting the words 100% what they were in the moment, but he basically said, that is him. I cannot take credit for all of who he is.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool to hear. It's funny because when Light had me on his show last week, he was making these huge comparisons to my mom. And he just said, he kept saying that he saw me speaking through her because he and I had spent a lot of time together podcasting and hanging out. And so it's very interesting.
Tell me more about that. You speaking through your mom. And did that resonate?
Yeah, I've always felt a very close father-son relationship with my dad. Not my whole life, but as I've stepped into being a man and not just being a boy. And when he said that to me, something really clicked, because that relationship with my mom, obviously I have an immense amount of love for my mom, but I hadn't seen our missions and our journeys in alignment in such a way until he said something about it. So something clicked when he shared that with me.
Yeah.
Sure.
I love that. I love that people can just drop little subtle things that are actually very deep and profound. Tell me about the mission, the overarching mission that you and your mom may have.
Yeah, it's still unfolding for sure. So I graduated from CU Boulder, studied psychology less than a year ago. And since then, I've been working with Let's Do Podcasts, helping them grow. And in that journey, I've been moving into some work with my parents because they also have podcasts here. And recently, I've been more focused on the Denver studio and working with them side by side. And we've been developing this vision, and it's not clear yet. And I don't want to share everything because it's kind of just an energy that's building within me and within us right now.
Yeah.
But I will say that in the last couple months alone, my parents and I have been realizing that the three of us, and I have younger siblings, but they're younger. Right? Yeah. But the three of us specifically need to be working together. We need to be
Mm.
doing something together, and we all can complement each other in a specific way. And it feels so true to
Mm.
honor that. Something about building something with the people that created you, and
Mm.
then being able to contribute and give back to them in a way that is like they've molded you into who you are, and now you went out into the world, you saw the world, and now you can come back to them with an offering of sorts of, this is what I want to contribute. And
It's very reciprocal.
Yeah.
Very reciprocal, and also
Yeah.
very like legacy driven. Not legacy in the sense of like success and needing to like leave an imprint, but legacy in the sense of like familial embodiment and the imprint that the three of you get to leave on souls.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a big believer, and also from my Jewish background, that we as souls, before we come into the world, choose the people that we're going to be married to, the people that we're going to be siblings with, who our parents are, who our kids are. It's all this like soul contract ahead of time, because we come in with a specific mission to fulfill. In Hebrew, the word is Tikun. You can call it karma, whatever it is, that the work that you have to do in this earth, you're with the right people to help you do that. And we there's this tendency sometimes to like run away from the people closest to us, because go back, I think
It's very confronting.
Yeah, I don't know if it was Ram Dass or someone said that if you think you're enlightened, go to Thanksgiving dinner with your family.
Yeah, spend a week with your family.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But those people who sometimes trigger us the most are often who our souls are most tied to in the work we're supposed to do here.
Yeah, and the growth and like the tension that we experience with those people, it's calling our soul into evolving and healing through that. Because it's through the tension and it's through the mirroring of whatever the trigger is that we get to resolve the parts of ourselves that are still in restriction or repression of moving forward on our soul's path. I'm curious, for people who don't have this awareness or understanding of having a specific soul's mission or having specific soul family, whether that's your inherited family or other people that you are here to work with to support their mission, to support your mission, to create a collective one. What's been your experience, if you've had one, around understanding and knowing when you are not with who your soul is meant to be around, whether that's collaborating and working with other people, relationship, or even environments? Like, I think I have a very like soul connection to specific environments, like in the United States or different weather patterns. I think there's different links. We can connect it universally everywhere.
Yeah.
But how do you know when you're not in the right place with the right people?
That's a really good question. I'd say, for one, trial and error.
Yeah.
Right? You figure it out the hard way. I think there's also this illusion sometimes that what looks outwardly like the right environment or the right set of people, that can be confusing and deceiving, because I've had an experience where I've pursued a career path and put myself in an environment where it looks like it's the exact place for me to be. And I feel this like energetic draining that happens. And I'm like, why is this happening? Because, on paper, this makes perfect sense. These are the people I'm supposed to be around, the job I'm supposed to be doing. I think it takes a great deal of humility to realize that what you think is needed for your path, your life, your journey, your mission isn't always the reality of what you're here to accomplish or fulfill. And if you have a positive intention of, I want to make the world a better place, I want to have a positive impact on the people around me, you can hold to that and detach from the how of that unfolding. Then it tends to unfold in a more pleasant way than like cling to this idea of, this is the environment I need to be in and want to be in, and it looks perfect, so I'm going to make it work and twist myself in all these different ways to make that happen the way I want it to. Yeah, it's just not how God works all the time. Yeah,
so I'm also hearing releasing the shoulds and the masks. And there's like flavors in surrender in what you're saying, like surrendering to being led by your soul, by your mission, by God, and letting that be what drives you.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful, chaotic, wild, exhilarating journey when you live life that way.
Mm-hmm. You get really comfortable with uncertainty, which is really necessary. I mean, especially now astrologically, which we'll get into another time, like we're living in times of like great uncertainty, great awakening, and it's requiring us to surrender more than we ever have. And each time we do, we're offered so much more openness, so much more trust. And each time we do that, we come into the understanding of, oh, it's safe. It's safe to trust. It's safe to let go. It's safe to open myself up to experiencing more of why I'm here and what I'm meant to experience, what I'm meant to offer, what I'm meant to receive.
Yeah.
I really resonate with the piece you shared on being in a situation or an environment that on paper is exactly as it should be. And I think the tricky thing is, so like for me, I was a psych nurse. I'm a nurse as well, and I worked psych for about 8 years. I worked psych at Denver Health for 5 years. Loved it, very intense. So glad that I did it. So draining. So you're also pointing to the drain, like what drains our aliveness. That's not to say like what creates resistance and what maybe creates tension and fear, but what consistently drains our life force is likely not meant for us. And that is different than resistance. That's different than fear coming up as well. But on paper, that was amazing. I received so much praise everywhere. Like my parents, all these people, they're like, wow, you're doing so great. And it's like, yes. And for me, I hit like a ceiling. Like, I'm like, this is so draining. This is not like being an empath and an intuitive. Like I was constantly just like sucked. And like, yes, I wanted to serve other humans. Yes, mental health is so fucking important to me. I'm so grateful that I had that experience to be able to see the inside of how our health system works within behavioral health. Yeah. And I also knew that I could be of greater service in a different way, on a different path. And that's where my soul was leading me. Yeah. And it felt like I was dying. Like it literally felt like I was dying to choose something different.
Yeah. Well, that's the death of an identity that you've then created. Again, we talked about the intention is what's most important, and how that manifests in the world is less important. That's what you have to surrender to. How did that intention of helping people, how did you lean into that and allow it to take you in a new direction, and let go of this version of yourself? Curious.
Yeah. So for me, what I have to consistently remember, the mission, my purpose and my specific soul mission for being here, the one that God, the divine source creator, placed within me and upon me, is not going to consistently drain me. It's not going to pull me away from myself. It's not going to require me to abandon parts of myself in order to be of service. Yeah. That's still something that I need to connect to, because the way that I'm going to be of service, the best way for me to consistently show up in that, it is going to be good for me. It is going to be reciprocal. God is not going to require me to have a soul mission and purpose to where I feel like I'm dying every day. I feel like I'm giving way more than what it is I'm receiving. Not to say that it's going to be easy, but that's something that I really need to lean into, and having faith that I can't see the full picture. I don't know the bigger plan.
Right. What comes to mind here is there's this book that I've read and studied a lot. It's called Sha'ar B'tachon in Hebrew. It's called The Gates of Trust. And this is kind of what my podcast is focused on too. It's being able to recognize that even if a situation has presented itself where it feels like you are being drained by this person or by this circumstance or situation, you have to have full trust in knowing that that person, that environment, situation is only existing because the divine has allowed it to be. And that no person or thing or circumstance outside of you can actually drain your energy without it being decreed by the one that is in our universe, right? The divine energy, God, source. And so with that lens, you view those people, those situations, whether it's working as a nurse or, you know, the environment that I was working in, less as, oh, everyone's here to drain my energy and they're out to get me, and more so, okay, source is working through this person, through this environment, circumstance, to try and teach me something. Therefore, I can meet them with love. I can meet them with acceptance, because I know that they are not the all powerful. And that lens, you've then just kind of transcended that ego view of self, because that puts your identity into perspective as well. Well, if they are only existing because in the way that they are because the divine has allowed them to be, well, then I'm only existing in the way that I am because the divine has allowed me to be. So how can I get in touch with what the one is asking me?
It brings you back to autonomy too, and choice, because it's not these people, these experiences, this environment is creating this for me. Like, I am an equal player in co-creating the experience that I'm having. So what is this showing me? Where is this asking me to grow? Where is my soul leading me through this experience? Because this is a part of it. And I love what you were pointing to, because when we can show up with love for the experience and understanding that whatever is happening is playing a crucial part in our becoming, then we're back in gratitude.
Totally.
And that takes away the blame for what's happening. It takes us out of like the victim mentality. And once again, we've gotten our autonomy and we're like, show me the way.
And so I work a lot with men, and my podcast is also geared a lot towards men. And I find that the idea of surrender and giving oneself over the divine is a lot more difficult for men and a man's ego.
1,000%.
And so the tool that I've found super useful in this is calling upon the hero's journey to, again, detach from this story of life is happening to me. These are my awful circumstances. They're draining my energy. Not to say that, oh, well, I'm just dissolving into the oneness of the divine, but to say, no, I'm going to actually write a different story, staying in that mindset of self and identity, but realizing that you can, again, be the co-creator, the co-author, if you will, of that story, and realizing that when I'm asked to leave a job or leave an environment, that's actually a call to go on a journey. And I'm going to meet mentors along the way, and I'm going to have to leave the home and the life that I used to live behind. And I'm going to have to face trials and tribulations and slay dragons and rescue the princess sometimes, right? And come home in an evolved version of myself. And so, yes, that's still tied to an identity of sorts, but it's one that, again, is co-authored with the divine instead of clinging to what is now, that story.
Yeah, I think one is passive and one is active, like what you're speaking to. Like if we completely dissolve and surrender and is just like, show me the way, but we're not being an active participant, we're not consciously creating. Yeah, I love that. I also love too, when you spoke to, it definitely is more challenging, I think, for men, because that's not the natural resting place for men. It's more of a resting place for women. And also when you're a child, like if you think of it as like, if you are a child of God, or even if you are a child to your father and your mother, what is the energy you're in for trusting them? Because that's a similar energy even as an adult that we have to take with source, the divine, in order to co-create. Because it's not, even when we're children, we're meant to be an active participant. We're not just like completely hands tied behind our back. Like we're still given a little bit of choice. And as we grow and mature, we're given more and more choice. And I think that same parallel happens as we spiritually mature as adults, where it's like we have to go into that full surrender and trust with the co-creation of our experience. And we get to have more choice and have more of the reins and have more freedom within that, the more that we trust and the more that we spiritually mature.
Yeah. I love how you brought it back to that relationship with the parent. Because, if you look at all of these different religions that we have in the world, oftentimes God is compared to like a father or a mother of sorts. And yeah, like that's just language that we use, but there is a truth in that, because if you look at the relationship you have with your parents, they in a sense created you.
They for sure created you.
Right. Through obviously God, whatever word you want to use. But they created you, and also God also created you. So it's a different relationship. My first question, when people automatically deny that there's a higher power in the world and they're very strong to fight against that idea, my first question is, well, what is their relationship like with their parents?
Yeah.
Because if you live in a state of resentment with the people that created you, how are you going to live with the divine being that created you?
Yeah, this brings up for me too. So someone I'm going to interview later today, when I first started working with her, she was like, you believe in God, and you see God. She's like, but why don't you understand and know that he sees you? It's like we forget. We have this like one-sided experience sometimes. Yeah. And I think when we're in resentment with the experience we've had as a child, that resentment goes to full creation. It's the universal experience of us being created, because we felt like, whatever, our power was taken away. We were rejected, abandoned, but we forget that there's still possibility to heal that and to feel that from the creator. Like it doesn't have to remain that way. But if we're so trapped and stuck, that feels like a really hard way to live life. Like I cannot imagine thinking that I had control over absolutely everything and that I needed to figure absolutely everything out. Like that feels really hard.
I think what's sometimes equally as hard is having that belief in a creator, but feeling like that creator has abandoned you. That's a very difficult feeling to grapple with. Have you ever felt either of the two?
1,000%. Yeah. I've definitely felt that. I definitely felt that many times as a kid. And then I've gone through experiences even now through my, spiritual practice and maturity of consistently needing to remember that the creator is still there with me. I have a different connection to spirit and God source than other people as well. Like I have 2 spirit guides that I particularly lean on super, super hard. And then God is way above that. But when I forget that I have that connection, that I am always divinely guided, that I am so loved exactly as I am, no matter what I do, that I have choice to choose differently, even when I fuck up. And that doesn't mean that I'm wrong or bad, but I can choose differently. And that is what they're wanting for me. And that's what I'm wanting for me. That unconditional sense of love that I get to experience is nothing I've ever experienced with a human.
Yeah. That's a very interesting way to put it, because you may experience it through a human.
You can totally experience it through humans.
That's the divine working through that person.
1,000%.
So you talk about these 2 spirit guides and then the God above. Would you say that these spirit guides are like 2 arms of God, meaning
they're 2 ethereal spirit guides that were specifically assigned to me at birth to help me live through my soul's mission and to come into my soul's purpose and my fullest expression. They are not human. They are parts of my personality. They will never create shame within me. They will never abandon me. If I'm experiencing either of those things, it's not them. Or I have not asked for their presence, because you need to ask. We need to ask for support. The thing about, do you know Carolyn Miss?
I don't.
Okay. So she's really big with sacred contracts. I'm like huge fan. Yeah. The thing that she says we fear most, that we need most, is spiritual intimacy. And because of our fear of that, the closest we can get to experiencing that is our direct contact with other humans through our soul contracts. Okay. So our soul contracts can bring us into a deeper experience and a deeper intimacy of spiritual intimacy that we can have with these other beings and that we can have with God. But we are so incredibly fearful of that because we don't have a curriculum for that. Most of us are not taught that. And if you think about what we would experience if we fully had that, if we fully knew that we were so unconditionally loved, trusted, guided, supported on all levels at all times. Like, that's so big. And so most people are like, fuck that, I don't want to do that. But like, there's humans right here that I can see. So let me try and get that from them.
Yeah. But getting it from them is kind of like a Walmart version.
I think it's I think it can be an entry point, though.
Sure. Yeah.
I think for most of us, it's an entry point. It's like it's like a gateway drug. It's like a gateway drug to spiritual intimacy.
I like that.
In a positive way.
Yeah.
And we're meant to experience all of that. Like, none of that's wrong. Like, we're meant to experience the different levels of soul contracts, positive and negative. But it's supposed to all bring us into a deeper awareness and understanding of ourselves and our capacity to be love. And be loved as love.
Yeah, I'm trying to wrap my head around what that would be like to at all times feel that direct connection.
I think if at all times we experience that, I'm not sure we would still be human.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I'll touch on another Jewish teaching here because it's just it just ties so well into this. It said that when God created the earth, he had to contract himself in a way, to pull back, to create space for humanity, to create space for that which is perceived as separate. Because if we were to be fully connected to the highest form of God, we wouldn't be in the sense of our human selves. Because that full mode of being is just a dissolved state into the oneness of it all.
And we're here to be human.
Yeah.
We're here to be human.
Totally.
We're here to be human and reconnect and remember the spiritual parts of us while still having a human experience. It's not wrong or bad to be human.
Yeah.
But we're supposed to also remember these different parts of us in order to really leverage and sink into becoming the best human form that we can while staying connected to our soul.
Totally.
The contraction piece that you mentioned too is so interesting because it's so true. That is the exact process you go through with having a baby and birth.
Yeah.
Right before the expansion and the birth and release. And you can also relate this to any type of growth pattern, any type of growth, like spiritual growth, coming into a new identity, taking on a new hobby. Right before we have that epic expansion and coming into really materializing what that is, there's the really big contraction before. And, I've had 2 kids, so I've viscerally experienced what that is, but that's what the process is for all of creation. You have to make space.
That's such a cool comparison.
Yeah.
Because that also is, again, that's another form of life-giving in the human sense. The highest state you can be in as a human being is, in my belief, not one that's just all of light and love and that's all great, but one of creation. When you are in a state of creation, you are one with the creator, because that's the nature of the creator, is to create. And so whatever it is that you may be bringing into the world, whether it's a child, making a child with your partner, art, or just a conversation, or thinking of a new route to drive to work. That's creation. It doesn't need to be out into the world.
Totally.
It can be something within you. When you are in that state, you are contributing to that contraction, but also expansive process of the universe unfolding.
Yeah, it's a collaboration energy. It's consistent collaboration with the energy of the universe while staying connected to your truth and your desires, and using those to leverage how you intend on creating and collaborating with the different energies.
Yeah.
And that's the whole theme of this podcast too for me, has been, how do we master our desires in order to create our own heaven on earth? How do we connect all of that? And not just the desires of our ego, humanly desires, all very, very important and connect us deeply to our power and our human selves, but the desires of our soul, the desires of God. Like, what is God asking to create through you and for the world? That's all so collaborative. And I think that's the most powerful energy we can be in, is the creation energy. And in order to do that, you have to be open. And you have to have like that expanded awareness, and you have to understand that you are human, and that's okay. And you are also more.
Yeah, you are more. But that comes with the responsibility as well. A lot of the problems that some people have with religion that I've spoken to is that, at least in the Jewish world, this notion of like going and sitting on a mountaintop and like finding enlightenment seems counterintuitive when we have real world issues going on, when there's problems in the world. And I think the point is not to just go and, again, like meditate on a mountaintop your whole life. It's to ascend to that high peak and then descend into the lowest parts of our world and use what you've received there to elevate it. And you see this is the bodhisattva, whose role is to help enlighten others, dedicates his existence to that. And there's the Chabad movement in Judaism, where their mission is not just to go and contemplate the divine all day through study, but it's also to take that wisdom and that connection to the divine that they receive and go to a place like a college campus where kids are struggling with drug addiction and just lost in life, lack of connection to peers, depression, shallow relationships, the list goes on, and giving them a spark of meaning. Right. So I think it's our job not only to do this in ourselves, but then to go down into the lowest parts of our world and elevate it.
I love that. I think that's so true. And I think with context, like, we can look at both of those situations, going and sitting on top of a mountain and trying to attain enlightenment, or being so focused on the problems that are currently happening in the world that we need to fix them. Each of those can be a distraction.
Correct.
And each of those can be the medicine. It depends on, our biggest contribution here is our own experience and our own energy that we are continually cultivating within ourselves in order to come to that creation and that collaboration. And we can't do that by just choosing one of those things.
Right.
And I think it's a distraction to go and try to solve the problems of the world if you haven't yet sat with yourself and solved the problems within yourself.
Totally.
Not to say that you have to solve all of them before you go and try and support and help people, but if you can find peace and love within yourself and radiate that out into the world, how big is that? If we're going to go out and try and support all the problems of the world, but we are still at war within ourselves, that is creating more war. That's not the goal. Yeah. So I think our biggest contribution and our biggest work is what we choose to create within ourselves and to amplify that out in the world. Like, what do we want to see in the world? How can we embody that now?
Almost like being an antenna.
Yeah, exactly. We are, no matter what.
Yeah. This brings me to another idea about the nature of giving and receiving. Right. That's how we are in relationship with each other, with the divine. So there's 4 states in Judaism of giving and receiving. And
I'm learning so much. Thank you.
Each is a different higher level, of course. And this is partially why I come on other people's podcasts, is to kind of represent my Jewish experience and teachings that I love it and share it, because it's another flavor that may not always be offered. And so here it is. So the lowest state is receiving for the sake of receiving, right? It's just taking in for the sake of taking in. And it's not bad. It's human. It's animal nature to survive, right? Just take in for the sake of taking in. The next stage is giving to receive. You're doing and you're giving out in the world, maybe to other people, maybe to the divine, but you're doing it for the sake of getting something in return. And again, we can all think of a million examples of how we show up in this way, and not bad, just is. The third is giving for the sake of giving, right? I'm doing something kind, I'm helping someone else because I want to do it for them, because I just simply want to see them have a better day, have a smile on their face. And so it's beautiful and it's great. And that seems like it's the highest state of being, right? Wow, it's just altruistic and it's just, surrender, and I'm not involving myself. I don't need anything. Yeah. That's that mountaintop enlightenment of just, I'm completely dissolved and here you are. Let me give to you. Well, the highest state of this giving and receiving is receiving for the sake of giving. So in that state, you are becoming a vessel where whatever you are getting, you are receiving and you are then giving out into the world. And so now, instead of just offering what you have, you are opening yourself up as a channel for blessing to come through you. So whether it's money, right? You want to succeed in business, you want to have, a real financial income so that you can also then use that to help others. If you don't have money, how can you give charity? Right? If you don't have resources, whether it's financial or spiritual, how can you then help other people? Yeah. And so in that state, you are nullifying yourself, but you are doing it where it's not just this altruistic dissolving into nothing, take me, right? Let me just give to you. It is, you are acknowledging your worth as a vessel for the divine.
Did you notice how your energy and your voice changed as you went through the 4 different levels? I'm excited to listen to that back because it's just another reminder of like how powerful energy and words are spells. Like as you were going through that, like you became the channel for that, and like your voice expanded more, you got more powerful. Cool. I wish everyone knew this framework specifically for relationship and for creating. Totally. It's so powerful. How has this impacted the way that you do relationship? Switching gears a little bit. Yeah.
Well, I'll first start with, I guess, my relationship to God, and then maybe move into people, person to person relationship.
Or community too.
Community, right? So Rosh Hashanah is the Jewish New Year, and you're always told that, Jewish New Year, you're supposed to like pray for all of everything you might need in the coming year. And it's always confusing to me because, well, there's so many people out in the world who are struggling a lot more than me. Who am I to sit here and pray for the things that I need? Like, why am I coming here in a selfish way, standing before God, praying in this way? And it wasn't until about 2 years ago when my rabbi, teacher of mine, explained to me that this isn't a selfish thing to do, asking for what you need. You're not saying, well, I want a really fancy car. You're saying, God, give me the things that I need in this life so that I can accomplish my mission. And it's not selfish because, again, you are opening yourself up as a channel that whatever you do receive, you're doing it for the sake of then giving out into the world. And so I think that for me, that shifted my relationship with money and also guilt around having things and being fortunate for having things. When
this is a big one. I love this because this is a big one for a lot of people. The guilt and being able, like the guilt around needing when so many other people are not in a similar place to be able to receive. Like we feel that guilt, and it's how am I so worthy to have this when other people can't? Yeah.
And the secret is when you are giving to someone from a good place, but out of a place of guilt, they have less than me, I have more than them, I feel bad, I'm going to give them something. It's far less effective than if you realize that you have been put in this situation. You've been given all of this wealth in whatever form it is, so that this moment could occur where you're supposed to give to them.
It also creates a little bit of a power structure and hierarchy of like it's placing them in a lower place when you are responding from guilt. It's like sympathy, like, oh, they really need this. So I'm in such a better place. So it's this. It's like, no, if we're even across the board, regardless of circumstances, I deserve what I need. So do they. Maybe we're not in the same position, but that doesn't change for me what it is I need and my capacity to receive it.
Right. Yeah. And it's amazing. It's amazing when that happens, because it's a total shift. A teacher of mine started this organization in Boulder, again, for the Jewish students, and someone had donated a ton of money to help him buy this building. And he went to go meet this person, and he wrote up the whole thank you letter for him. And he came to him. He's like, hey, I just want to thank you. And the guy stopped him. He said, no, you don't thank me. You are as necessary. You are as necessary to this as I am. You are here so that I can give to you. I don't want to thank you. Or I don't want you to thank me.
I love that.
And so, we talk about like charity, and how we're supposed to, give to our fellow man, people who are in need. In Hebrew, the word charity, the real translation is tzedakah. Where does it come from? The word tzedek means justice. It's not that we are giving to people who are less than us. It's just that we are restoring justice and balance in the world, because what has been allocated to us is also given to us so that we can bestow it upon the person who needs it most. That is a guilt-free way to be of service.
Yeah, it's neutral. There's no charge there. It's neutral.
So
I give because it is my responsibility. I receive because that is also my responsibility.
Yeah. So you asked me how these ideas have changed my relationships. I think that's exactly how it has. And like when I know that I'm showing up for someone, and I can recognize, oh, this isn't about me. Oh, there's a mission here to fulfill. I'm gonna do that. There isn't that relationship of more than and less than. Kind of just show up and say, this is where I need to be, and this is what I'm here to give, because that's how God made it. That's all there is to it. I think the person on the receiving end can feel that when someone shows up in that way.
Yeah, it matters. The energy that you're in with giving and receiving matters. Yeah. And I've talked about this a lot too, but the energy that you're in when you're creating as well matters.
Yes.
Because that affects the collaboration, that affects the impact, that affects the outcome. And creating from a place of obligation, or just creating from the place of like fleshy ego desire, it constricts the collaboration, and it constricts the amplification of what can be created, versus maintaining that neutrality of openness with what you're creating, what you're giving, what you're receiving. It's endless. So there's not as much of a restriction around it, because it's not coming from a smaller place. It's coming from an expanded awareness of what's possible.
Right, because if you were approaching anything from that place of survival, like animalistic desire, fleshy ego being, then that is the ceiling that you will hit when it comes to that. Whatever is possible in nature is what you will be able to achieve. If you want to achieve what is possible beyond nature, then you have to approach it from a place of supernatural.
Totally.
Divine.
What is something that you've collaboratively created that you're really proud of?
Oh, that's a really good question. Any specific area?
I'll share mine first.
Yeah, please do.
One thing, I mean, there's a bunch, and for a long time, being proud of things that I've created, or even being proud of myself, induced so much shame, because it was like I wasn't allowed to do that. How am I worthy of being proud of myself in this way. Like that's wrong or bad. It's not the same relationship I have to it now. If I allow myself to be proud of what I have created, that allows whatever I've created to get so much bigger, and it gives so much more permission for other people to also create and be proud of themselves. And we should be proud of each other as long as what we're creating matters, which it does. Something I'm really proud of that I've created is safety within myself. I have such a strong sense of safety that I've collaboratively created with mentors, with my spirit guides, with God, my children in my home, that I've been through a lot of dark times. And I truly believe now deep within myself, no matter what, I can provide myself the safety that I need to get through whatever it is.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
That gives me, I have something that comes to mind. When I was around my junior year of college, I started realizing that the community that I'm in, specifically the Jewish community, something that I had greatly benefited from it, but I was stepping into a role of being able to give back to it. And I was in the stage of college where I was more of an older brother figure now. The majority of people coming into the community are younger than me. I had my time of being kind of initiated and brought into just the warm and welcoming environment. Now it was time to do that for others. So I took it upon myself to be a staff member for the yearly birthright trip we do, which is a free trip to Israel for all, Jewish students at the university. And I got to bring 120 students last summer to Israel and take them around to help them connect to their ancestry, to help them connect to their soul and to God, not just through spirituality, but through spirituality that was merged with that idea of ancestry. I think that's super powerful.
Yeah.
Because it helps you realize that you were standing on the shoulders of giants. Right? People that have come before you, that have built you into who you are, and how God has worked through them all the way until you. And
I love that.
Usually this trip is just very, sometimes sterile would be the right word, where, there's a lot of history and it's fun, it's entertaining. But the group that I led it with, we said, we have to make this a very powerful, memorable experience. So we infuse as much meaning and spirituality into it as we possibly could for college students who also just wanted to go out and party and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I just watched as people opened up and cried, people that I had known for a while that, in fraternities and sororities and going about their daily lives. And here they were opening up to God in front of, vulnerably in front of dozens and dozens of people. And it's such an intense trip. It's 10 days, it's jam-packed, but we found those moments of meaning through singing, through meditations. I got to guide them through kind of like a meditation of going into this grand library and picking up a book that has their last name on it and flipping through and reading the stories about these people who lived a long, long time ago. And then suddenly seeing their grandparents and their parents and then their page.
Wow.
A blank page, right? In the book of their history, in the book of Jewish history, and visualizing what would they want put on that page for those to remember them by. It was just so profound. And mind you, this was before we went into the National Holocaust Museum in Israel. And so it was a very heavy day, but they were able to go in there, not just from a place of tragedy and history, but also from a place of empowerment. I am rewriting that history through my own page. I am writing the future through my own page. And so that's something that me and my staff members, we were able to really envision and then co-create and bring into this amazing trip for these students.
Wow.
Yeah,
you should be so proud of that. That's so big.
Yeah.
I even, not going through the full meditation, but I just went through a short, profound experience with that as well.
Cool.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
That I feel like that would be so supportive and transformational for people. You should be proud of that. That's so
Thank you.
big. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I would imagine too the link to ancestry. It's interesting. This has been coming up a lot. I just did my like saliva stuff for my ancestry like 2 weeks ago. So I'm waiting for it. But I'm wanting more information because I'm really wanting to double click into that sense of belonging,
Yeah.
to that sense of connection. You know, I have it, I feel as though I have it spiritually. I feel as though I have it humanly, have it within myself. And I think that this is the missing piece for me to bring all of that together.
Totally.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're doing that. And I like to tell people that it's so important to connect
Mm-hmm.
to the people who came before us and the different heritage that they had. And
You have a lot of German.
Okay, I have a little bit of that as well. It's a blessing we live in a country that's like a melting pot, so to say, but also to find old practices, old traditions, old recipes, whatever it is, right? And engage in that.
Mm-hmm.
You feel a sense of connection to the people that came before you. So yeah, I mean, going to Germany and going to explore the culture and the food and the people.
Well, that's my plan. My plan is some form of pilgrimage. I'm just wanting to get really, really clear first on the ancestry before I devote that time and space to it. Because
definitely should.
Yeah, I'm going to. It's going to be really big. Where do I go from here? How much time do we have left?
We're at 51.
51. What? Last couple of questions.
Sure.
What are you either in the process of creating, or what is something that's really big that you're desiring and excited to create that you have not yet, that might feel even edgy sharing? Because then it puts it out.
Yeah. I'll share one like personal and one more professional. On a personal note, I spent a lot of time with close friends. So my girlfriend and I were introduced from my best friend. They're cousins. And so yeah, I'm dating my best friend's younger cousin, and our other really good friend is dating their other cousin.
Oh, wow.
So me and my buddy are like dating in their family essentially. And, it was all like funny and like fun, like all part of the family, until I went and visited my buddy in Salt Lake. That's who I stayed with when I went out there. And him and I spent a lot of time really building a vision for what we want our shared family life to look like.
Ooh.
And we hadn't really thought about it like that. It was more just like, oh yeah, like, I'm dating your cousin. That's funny and cool and all. We were saying, well, what do we want our life to look like? We get to, God willing, raise kids side by side, get a place together, have family vacations, and like, how do we want to grow that together? And I guess that's something that I'm now in the process of building, at least in my mind, and those relationships. So
that's really exciting.
Special. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very, very not 23 as, which I love. Like, that was not my experience as a 23-year-old. I'm very, very impressed and very, I love that for you and for the other people that you're creating that with. That's so big. It's so intentional. It's so important. And my hope is for more of us to place that level of intentionality and purpose and vision within the desires of what it is that we're creating.
Totally.
Yay.
Yeah.
Cool. I would love for you to share where people can find you on the internet. You don't need to share like where you live. And anything else you want to share in general, where people can find you, if you want to promote anything like that. And then you, others will put it in the show notes as well.
Yeah. I'm always happy to chat with anyone as a friend and share more of these conversations. And welcome to come on the podcast if you enjoyed listening to this. So you can
Mhm.
find me on Instagram, Yehuda HaLevi, YudaHalevi, or Shells and Shadows on Instagram, also shellsandshadows.com. And yeah, reach out.